Market update here on the 30th. So I'm just going to pull up the charts and go over them while I'm on here. A lot of them, I pretty much, not much has changed. We had a big move on Friday, although Friday was kind of a day to not really do anything, just watch it, and it did trickle all the way up here. We hit, let's see, we started at 411, I think, and ended at 415.93, up 0.85%. Pretty much, if you watch the video that I last put out, I talked about this being a 5-wave move because we have the first wave here, third wave here, and I mentioned this when I noticed that it got outside this parallel line. So likely it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so I'm still thinking that we're probably going up here to like 420 to 424. And so there's a little bit more to go. I don't know if that's going to be early in the week. Let's zoom in here a little bit farther and just take a look at this. I mean, just an incredible move, really. I would pretty much just say that this is probably going to end up being like a third wave right here. And it could come down here as well. I'm not really counting the waves as much on smaller time frames. I'm just using higher time frames for these now because of the way the market moves. So we've gone from 403 all the way up to 415 in 2 days, which is pretty insane. But if you listen to that video and you saw outside the parallel line and you just bought calls here, you could have made a bunch. And I personally, I didn't do it either. If you didn't do it, I don't blame you, because no one could think after all this chop, all of a sudden we're just going to go straight up to new highs. So again, we do have a supply zone up here at 416. We hit it over here. It ends at 421.64. But I could see this going all the way up to like 422, maybe even 424. Zooming out, I think it does make a lot of sense for this to end up being probably something like this, to be honest, like kind of like a diagonal. If we go to 420 or 422, and let's say we back off, down here to 412 after we go to the top here, then we could see 438 to 443. So crazy move. I know everyone's expecting this to come down. It's still possible, but I think this is very likely right here, and that would complete what I've been talking about for a while, which is WXY. Let me get rid of all of these for a second. So the 1.61 fib of the W wave is right here at 444. So if we go to 422, back off, and then go one more move higher. So everyone that is just looking out for a bearish move, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It could happen here soon, but I would think that the most likely scenario is just down here to, let's say 422, 412, and then just melting up again, probably through the summertime to like 440. So again, it's probably going to blow a lot of bears out of their positions, and we'll probably get a short squeeze here eventually up to 440. I don't know what is going to cause a sell-off after this point, going from 348 all the way to 444, but I still think that this is most likely just a B wave, and we're going to move down here in the fall of 2023 into the spring of 2024. So that's my thoughts on SPY. We'll have to watch and see what happens, but short term, look for another high and then back off. Let's go over QQQ. So I was introduced to this, I don't know if I talked about this in the past video, this indicator right here. Supposedly it has to do with liquidity flow. It's way down here at 300, and I think it's possible that I could go down there. Let's go on the daily. But again, I think that this has got to go up to like, I was thinking like 327, somewhere around 327, and then fall. And with my count here, let's get rid of all these for a second. This could go two different ways. This could be, I still think that it's possible it could be this. If that happens, then I'd be looking for still a fall back here to probably the 0.38 fib around 300. And so that brings into play this indicator right here that's showing liquidity is a lot lower than here. So that would basically mean we go up here to 327 and then fall down here to 300 before going higher. But I don't think this is a top yet. So if this is going to be a 5-wave move and we fall down here, then I'm looking for basically something like this. And if you go to 300, the bottom was at 253. We could be looking at something around like 360, 370, which would take us to basically probably the 0.78 fib, maybe only the 0.61 fib, somewhere in there. But you can see the same pattern as SPY, except for I think this might sell off a little bit more. SPY goes to 424 and only sells off to 412. That's only a 3% sell off. So maybe it'll sell off a little bit more. Maybe it'll be more of a diagonal, because that wouldn't make sense for it to be down 3% and QQQ to be down about 10%. So maybe like a 5-6% sell off in SPY that would take us down to 400 to 405, and then we go up here to 440. So look for a top probably next week, and then a short-term sell-off back to likely 300. Microsoft, the same thing as QQQ, except for it could do this pattern as well. So this wasn't even possible last week, and now it's starting to look like it is possible. We'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here to 390, which would actually be a new all-time high. That looks like it's possible. Or we're looking at this as a diagonal, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably sell off the same as QQQ, in which we go down here to 272 and then make another high up here, and then that would only be ABC, or it could end up being an overall first wave, second wave, something like this. So I think that short term, it should be pretty much selling off here next week. The 1.61 fib, if this is a third wave, basically is at 311. So even if it's only the third wave of the third wave, then it would have to sell off probably down here to the low 280s before going higher. So again, these moves right here are pretty tricky because they could be a lot of different things. Is this a diagonal, or is it a nested wave 3? It remains to be seen, basically. Let's go over Apple. Apple is pretty simple to me, and I have some bearish positions in QQQ, and so I am actually in Apple with shares because it's pretty simple to me. This is going to go to 177 at some point. You can see right here we got this move, and then we come down here And you can see this takes us to like 177. I think that it's likely it goes to 177 this week going into earnings, and that's how QQQ gets up to 327. That's why I bought shares. I'm hedging my bearish positions. I might add to them here in a little bit, but I kind of just see this whole move as this, in which this move right here is going to end up looking like this. So we'll see what happens. But 177 has been on my radar since we were right here. Since we started this, I said 177, and here we are at basically 170, ready to go up here to 177. And I'm going to use Apple really as like a top indicator for the overall market. I think that once it gets to 177, we should see a pretty good sell-off. All right, let's get into Tesla. So Tesla, I've gone over this on Thursday, I think. Basically, I still see this as a fourth wave. So we have AB 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think it's going to come down here and hit the daily demand here soon. Zoom in here a little bit. Although this move does look kind of impulsive, so it's really going to depend on if it keeps on going higher from here. Let's just look at the retracement on here. So the 0.38 fibs up here at 166, so it can still go higher. If it breaks above like 171, then I'll start questioning if the bottom is already in. But for now, I think that it makes a lot of sense for it to be a fourth wave still. And you can see I have the parallel lines drawn. It's outside the parallel line. So it could go down early this next week too. This could be it right here, and we can come down here. It's already broken outside of there. It's between the 0.23 fib and the 0.38 fib. And if we look at our parallel lines, or our fib retracement tool, and just see projections now. So projections perfectly 145 to 141. If that were the top right there on the fourth wave. Yeah, I'm looking for this move down here. And again, invalidation above 171, pretty much. So we got daily demand down here, gap fill, weekly demand down here. Based on this move, I would say weekly demand is probably out of the picture, but look for a gap fill sometime next week probably. And that would complete the overall WXY move. And then I would expect it to go higher. How much higher? Probably going to go all the way up to probably looking at like 254. We got this supply zone up here at 267. But we'll see how it plays out. That's what I see on Tesla. Let's go over Amazon. I got so lucky on this stock last week. I bought a bunch of shares right before earnings, right before the close of the market, and I bought them at 109, which is kind of risky. But right now, since I have bearish positions, I don't really care because I knew that this is going to go to 121 at some point. And luckily enough, within the first 5 minutes of after hours, it went to 121, and I just sold it right there. And then it came down to 104 the next day, which is a crazy move. A lot of crazy stuff going on in this market. But the question is this going to end up going up here to 121 actually in the regular session? And I don't know now. It's kind of a tough one. If it does not go up to 121 and it doesn't complete this move, and the market's about to correct, then there's always a possibility that it's already Or it could just go like this. Let's see. Get rid of this. Could end up just doing something like this. Like a double bottom right here. And then maybe going up here later. I don't think it's ready to do the final move down because the overall market, I'm not expecting this to happen yet. I don't think that's going to happen. But my target overall is still 60. But I think that it's likely it would be an ABC move down to weekly demand. And then we'd probably come up here and just make another double top around 114 before going down. Meta. So Meta 239 didn't really move on Friday that much. Again, it broke the pattern that I had laid out with the earnings play. And here's what I see on Meta. We got a gap up here at 289. I expect the market to go higher, but I see a correction coming. So for this to go to 289, we are at 239 right now. We probably topped out. Maybe it goes a little bit higher, but the bottom here is at 169. So 239, that's about 70. We need about 50 higher. So we need to go to about 220 would be my target, I think. So maybe this sells off to 220. Which is a little bit past the 0.23 fib. There's probably going to be a demand zone down here somewhere. I would say probably come back down here maybe and get into this demand zone right here and then go higher. So a lot of these stocks, people that bought puts are going to be, in my opinion, from here on out, are going to be screwed because they're just looking at it like this is a parabolic move. It's got to come down eventually. But it's going to be surprising if it only comes down here to 220 and then just goes higher again. People are going to be, going crazy at that point. But that's kind of what I see on Meta as well. Not that big of a correction on Microsoft, like 280. Meta, maybe 220. Apple remains to be seen when it hits 177. Tesla, fill the gap and probably go higher. Amazon, this one could be a little bit more bearish. They had pretty bad earnings. But, yeah, that's pretty much what I see. I can go over Google. Don't really want to, though. Let's go over IWM. So I made a video a few weeks ago about this going down to 160, but it's been pretty stubborn, and it hasn't done that yet. So I guess there's a chance that this is the bottom right here. But then again, now I'm looking at, if the market's going to crash here, not crash, but correct here in a second, and IWM hasn't really bounced, I think this is still in play. It's just a very drawn out fourth wave. So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This could be a second wave right here. 160 is the target. And then again, I think that IWM has a really big move higher going into the end of the summer. I'm looking for, let's see, somewhere around like 200. And then that would be the overall B wave. And we'd go to new lows into the end of 2023, 2024. So nothing's really changed in this one, actually, now that I look at it. It's just kind of back and forth here, but expect a big sell-off here soon. Let's go over Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is still around 29,400. I went over this last week. It's, in my opinion, I think that 5 waves have been finished, and it's just kind of holding up here, waiting for the overall market to correct. But if you look out on the weekly chart, it's still possible that we are looking at a, let's see, you're looking at a fourth wave and then a fifth wave higher here soon. So it's still possible that you can look at it like this as well. And again, supply zone here at 36.5 to 40,000. That would be the last pump, and then I would be looking for a pullback to probably the 0.38 fib here around 28.9. And then a move higher to maybe 50,000. We have to see how much it corrects, what kind of pattern it's in, but this all depends. This could also still be 5-wave move here. And we are making ABC lower down here to like 21 to 25,000. So again, let's see what happens next week or tomorrow. Let's see what happens with the market. If it goes higher, that confirms that we're making a fifth wave on SPY. QQQ probably 327. We got the Fed this week. We got Apple earnings on Thursday. Apple going to 177. Microsoft probably topped out. It filled the gap here at 307. It could go to 311 though. Tesla probably filling the gap here at 146. Amazon, I wouldn't expect to go that much higher. I would say odds are it goes lower, but we'll see. Meta shouldn't be going that much higher before a pullback. IWM looks like in a fourth wave, looking down here at 160 still. And Bitcoin either corrects to 21 to 25,000 or goes up here to 36 to 40 here soon. So I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think we're still bullish in the overall market? Do you think there's a correction coming soon? Anything else you want to say? Any tickers you want done? Let me know. Like, subscribe for more updates, and I'll catch you in the next video.